Ooh, what makes a friendship toxic? How do you set boundaries? I have opinions on this, but I'm gonna let you.
Welcome back to QR Quoted.
I'm Queen.
I'm Raquel, and you already know how happy we are to be back.
Yes.
After every episode, Queen and I have this moment together where we're just thinking and contemplating, reflecting and just wondering, this is real life. People actually listen to us.
Yeah.
And we're just so appreciative of the support, love, and feedback that we receive after every episode. So we really do mean it when we say that we're happy to be back.
Yes, we truly are.
Today's episode is a bit different, and I presented this idea to Queen where instead of a formal written quote that we would find in a book or see online or read, why not get quotes from our viewers in the form of questions?
Huh?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Which is basically just a very fancy way of saying that this episode is a Q&A with Q&R. So,
I love it. Q&A with Q&R.
Yeah. Your questions are the quotes.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this. So we reached out to our viewers on Instagram. If you don't follow us, follow QR Quoted on Instagram for more things like this in the future. We hope to do more Q&As on different topics. Mm-hmm. So yes, QR Quoted. Follow us if you aren't already, and keep up with everything. We asked for your submissions regarding the topic of friendship. So we said, ask us anything you want about friendship, all things related to friendship. We got some pretty good ones. And we're excited to have kind of an open, candid, and unstructured conversation, which is a little different for us because usually we like to outline for each episode with our main talking points, just so that we kind of cover everything we want to get to, because it gets a little deep sometimes and we can get carried away. So we want to make sure we stay on topic and cover the things we want to cover. So this will be a nice, relaxing, just chit chat.
Yeah.
Responding to your questions.
Yeah.
So we're going to just jump right in.
Shall we begin?
Yes. Raquel, you want to take it away with the first question?
All right. Question number 1. How do you make friends in your late 20s besides social media?
Okay. That's an interesting question because I wouldn't say I make friends, or I would make friends in my late 20s. Oh my gosh, I'm in my late 20s now.
Yeah. I'm not there yet, but kind of almost.
Yeah. I guess this year is 27, so that'll be late 20s, right?
Yeah.
27 and up is late 20s.
Uh-huh.
I think 26 is still mid.
Yeah.
27 is mid too late.
You're just trying to make yourself feel better.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Back to the question.
How do you see? This is why we outline.
Yeah.
How do you make friends in your late 20s besides social media? Okay. I'm just gonna answer how do you make friends in your late 20s? That's not easy, right? Because we think about friendships and long-lasting friendships. They start ideally when you're younger and you go through multiple stages of life together. You grow through life together, and they stand the test of time.
Yeah. Or they don't.
I know. We can talk about that too. We will. But I think ultimately by being yourself and being open to meeting people. I don't think
physically meeting people.
Yeah. Getting out there.
I agree.
If you want to kind of get to know more people and make new friends, I think staying inside all day, not socializing, is not going to get you new friends. It's really about getting out there, getting involved in your community. Those are the things that are going to, get you to make new friends.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you think?
I mean, what do we all know about social media? It's this small glimpse of someone's life.
Yeah. We've talked about that before.
Yeah. And people have talked about it everywhere.
Yeah.
And you know that what you see on social media is not always what you get in real life. So I think that using social media could be beneficial to a certain extent, but I don't think that it shows the same value as physically making an effort.
Yeah.
You only get so much through social media. I don't think that to build a strong, withstanding friendship, social media is the way to do it. I don't think that would be the smartest way. So I would agree in saying that definitely making an effort to physically get involved in the community, putting yourself out there, which sounds scary, but it is what works.
Yeah.
Having open conversations with people, just like talk to people.
Yeah.
And you'll be surprised, like seeing how you're compatible and just seeing like similarities just by having a simple conversation really helps.
I agree. And now that we're talking about this, people say that it's impossible to make friends in your 20s, and I don't think that's the case. Like, I've heard people say, like, it's so hard. Like, it is. It's not easy. It's different. But I think it's very possible to make some good friends in your 20s.
Yeah.
Especially once you're really starting to, like, get a grasp on your own life.
Yeah.
Which no one has it all figured out, I'm sure. No one ever will have it all figured out at any stage of life. But
especially during your 20s, though. Your 20s are a hard stage. I mean, I think this is, like, one of the hardest stages of my life ever. Yeah. So I see the value of this question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next one.
Moving on to the next one. Take it away.
Okay, so what are good qualities to look for in a friend?
I like this question. My favorite answer to this would be someone who's a good listener. Mm-hmm. Not someone who constantly has an answer to all your questions. Because sometimes I just want a friend to listen to me and not kind of like scold me in a way, and not always say like, well, you should have thought of this, or you should have done this different way. Or maybe it's because you're like this. I want someone to completely like openly hear me and make me feel heard. That's what I think a really good friend is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think what's important is, you know, when I think about being there for my friends if they need me, and I've said this before, when my friends need me, okay, they don't always need advice from me. Yeah. And I can't always give them advice. So it's about like evaluating, okay, are they looking for someone to listen, or are they looking for someone to give them advice? So it's important to... You
simply just evaluating and thinking about what do they need right now says a lot.
Yeah.
As opposed to just jumping to like what you think is needed. No.
Exactly. Any other qualities that come to mind?
Someone who constantly lifts you up.
Yeah, like
someone you don't feel like you're in a competition with.
Right.
Yeah.
It's easy to be there for people when they're down, but I think a good friend is one who can be there for you in times where you are celebrating as well, and truly be there for you.
Yeah, and like celebrate with you.
Exactly.
Wholeheartedly.
Yeah, it's not just about being there when your friends are down. It's about the ups and the downs.
Yeah.
Yeah. A good friend is someone who shows up, who chooses you in the way that you choose them.
Holds herself accountable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Communication. I think communication is important for every relationship.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. Those are key things, I think.
Those are great.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you differentiate between good friends and close friends?
So I was thinking about this, okay? When I first saw it, I was like, ooh. Because I know that some people have close friends that are not necessarily good friends. But as I was really thinking about this, I was like, okay, well, close friends are always going to be good friends. They should be, right? And then a good friend is a friend. They're not necessarily constant and super present in your life.
Yes.
They're not the people who are there like in your inner circle. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that a good friend is maybe someone that I see often. Someone that I see often. Whereas a close friend is someone that I know on a much deeper level, much more personal with that with them. And I think that a close friend is one that's like always there.
Right. Even when they're not physically there.
Yeah.
Because I kind of will get to this. I know there's another question that I want to talk about this in more detail later on. But
you can mention it here.
Yeah, I'll like preview it. I think good friends, I like that you said, are people you see quite a bit and like you have a good relationship with their friends, right? Yeah. Close friends, frequency of like how often you see them doesn't matter. They are constant in your life. You know they're always going to be there. You know you can always pick up where you left off no matter how much time has passed.
Exactly.
And there's no pettiness there about anything. So yeah.
All right.
Moving on to the next question.
Yeah. Is it your turn?
Is it my turn?
I think so.
I don't know. Okay, I'll ask the next one. I asked this one. No, I didn't. Okay, I'll ask this one. What advice do you have for what to do when friends exclude you, but you care for them very much? Oh.
Yikes. This one's good, depending on how you take it. So I think the easiest thing to say to this is just completely be upfront with them.
Yeah.
Because if you really care for them and you really care for the friendship and you're feeling excluded from them, then you should tell them that you feel that way. And how they respond to you is what will make you reevaluate the friendship.
Right.
If
you need to.
Yeah. If they don't agree and they don't make you feel heard and make you feel seen and, listen to you, then maybe they shouldn't be your friend.
Right.
But if they like truly understand and apologize and, show as much effort as you are, then okay, then you can try to work on it.
Right.
And you should work on it.
Yeah. I think that.
But confrontation is scary. And
it is scary.
It's hard to have a conversation like that with
and not on Snapchat and not over text. It's a phone call. It's let's meet up and talk about this. Yeah. Here's how I am feeling, which is not easy to do these days. And like,
I think sending a text like that is hard.
I think exclusion, especially when you are younger, is sometimes something that ends up happening that's like it just truly comes from like not knowing any better. And I think you need to advocate for yourself and what you're feeling and say like, hey, I feel excluded and here's why. And maybe those friends didn't even know they were doing it. Especially if you're super young, like maybe you don't realize you're excluding someone, and this could be a learning lesson for them to never do that again. Yeah. And if they don't learn from it, and if they, like you said, they don't hear you, they don't listen, then it's time to think like, okay, then maybe this does need to be reevaluated. Because I wouldn't say just because a friend excludes you or you feel excluded, cut them off, forget them. No.
But that could be like something that people resort to doing.
Yeah, unfortunately down the line.
So I really like that you mentioned age, because high school me would be like, no, they're excluding me. Like,
I'm done with them.
Yeah, and this is terrible, and I can't believe this is happening to me. And I would make it so much bigger than it really is if I just would to take them to the side and like sit back and talk to them and tell them, which is something that I would totally do now. Yeah. At this current stage of life and age that I am in, I would totally like openly feel confident with talking to someone about feeling that way. Yeah. And however they respond is however they respond, but I'm much more open to doing that now.
But I think you'll save yourself a lot of like heartbreak and headaches by just doing it now.
Yeah, you're right.
Communicate. Stand up for yourself. If someone shows up for you, is going to show up for you, they're going to do it. They're going to listen. They're going to hear you. And it's better to know that sooner versus learning the hard way later when they hurt you even more. Yeah. Protect yourself. So, yeah.
Nice. Okay. Question number 5. What is a deep belief about friendship that you no longer believe in?
So this is this ties to what I just brought up.
Yeah.
And I guess, like, growing up, I just used to think that I had to see my best friend every day. I had to spend every weekend with my best friend. And if I went a weekend without seeing them, I was not a good friend, right? And I like to think I've always been pretty good about, like, giving time to my friends and, you know, balancing time spent with my friends. But I used to think that frequency was important. And I'm not saying, like, just forget about your friends and, like, don't ever check up on them. But I think as you get older and as you grow together, there's this mutual understanding of life is not easy. Life is busy. Life can be exhausting. And, you know, sometimes, like, we go days without texting each other.
Yeah.
But we know what the other one is going through. And we know, like, I know that though maybe I haven't texted you in 3 days, but, like, I can call you and be like, hey, listen.
Yeah.
I need this right now. Or do you want to do this right now? And I think the older you get, the more it's like, I think just the quality of the friendship takes over that, like, frequency. It's quality over quantity, I think. Yeah. So that's kind of what has changed for me.
That's really nice. Very well said. I'm not even going to answer to that, but I'll answer the question.
Yeah.
A belief that I no longer expect or believe in terms of a friendship is that it doesn't always have to be two-sided, which might not make sense.
Yeah, I need some more elaboration.
Yeah, so normally you think any relationship is two-sided, like it's you and that other person.
Right.
And you're both putting in work, you're both trying to maintain the relationship. And in the case of friendship, though, I don't think that necessarily always is the case. I think that there are times where a friendship is or may feel more one-sided, and that's okay. I used to think that if a friendship ever felt one-sided, then something was wrong, and that's not a good friendship. But the other person can be in a different stage of life than I'm in, could have completely different needs that might require more effort on my end and more work on my end to maintain it and make sure that it's thriving the way that it should be.
Interesting. That's insightful.
And that's okay. Because a friend who, like, realizes that my friend is kind of going through something and that I might need to be putting in a little bit more work than they are right now for me, that says a lot about that one person.
Right.
About that friend doing that.
Yeah.
Right? For you.
Yeah, and then as, like, the, you know, if I know and if you're able to reflect, you should understand that, like, you look back at, like, oh, there's this one season where you know, you gave 100%, I gave 50. Okay. And that is something you should be able to, like, think back to and notice. Yeah. And I think that's important too, like, to not be oblivious to that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I've never thought of it that way. But that's cool. I just never thought of it that way. Yeah, that's a cool, like, lesson to pick up on. Yeah.
I think it's so quick to jump to, like, the other person and say, well, they didn't do this for me and I did all that for them. It's like, well,
that's not how giving works.
Exactly. You shouldn't be giving or doing anything or maintaining a relationship with the thought that it needs to be repaid in the same exact fashion. Like,
it's also where, like, love language comes into play as well. Yeah. The way that, you know, anyone in your life shows love and receives love, it could be different than you too. Yeah. Not to say that you shouldn't have high expectations. That's one thing. Is like, I also, like, I guess I think that's changed too. That's something that has shifted as I've gotten older. Is like, some people need to, like, raise their expectations, right? Like, you need to have high expectations for the people you consider to be those close friends, for your best friends, right? Don't settle for anything less than what you're willing to give. Yeah. But also, you know, as you said, if it is a quality friendship that has kind of stood the test of time, it ebbs and flows. Like, there are ups and downs, and, you know, sometimes it's one person maybe putting in a little more effort than the other, but then it can like the roles can reverse easily, and it's like a constant cycle.
Yeah.
It doesn't like stop, and then which I'll talk about later too. I feel like I'm like getting ahead of myself. Yeah. Should we go on to the next question?
Yeah, I'm ready.
So Raquel, who is your best friend right now?
You.
You're my best friend too.
Oh, thanks.
I think we have different best friends in like different ways, right? Like there's your significant other.
I'm laughing.
And I've always thought that like a person can have more than one best friend because everyone brings something different to the table.
Of course.
But yeah, that was the first question.
That was the first.
I don't know if they just wanted us to like reveal that we're each other's best friends. If you don't know, now you know. I mean, if you didn't know, now you know. But I think this is the main part of the question is how would you feel if you knew that like your best friend right now, your best friends right now wouldn't be in your life 5 years from today, knowing that some friendships are seasonal no matter what we want them to actually be and others are forever, right? Like we've heard the like some friends are in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. So how would you feel knowing like your best friends won't be your best friends in 5 years? I don't know. I can't even picture that.
Yeah, I can't picture that either because my best friends will be in my life.
Yeah.
In 5 years from today.
Me too. Like I can't like
my best friends.
Right. The best friends.
Yeah, but I'm looking at the question. Knowing that some friendships are seasonal because some are, I think maybe you have like work friends, you have school friends, and maybe you kind of like lose connection with them if you get a new job or like you graduate, etc. Like that I can see as those being seasonal.
Or a reason. They were a reason or a season.
Yeah, and that's fine, but my best friends, the people...
They're a lifetime.
Yeah, the people that know me, like, in and out like the back of their hand, which, to this day, I feel like Queen, like, knows me the absolute best.
I try.
Yeah. And if we're going to talk about, like, relationships, that's a different kind of friendship.
Yeah, that's why I think, like, you can have multiple best friends.
Yeah.
It's just, it's different what everyone brings to the table.
Of course.
But I mean, if I'm saying that, I can count them on one hand. Like,
same.
So yeah, quality over quantity always. And I can't picture not being best friends with my best friends in 5 years. And if you can, maybe that says something about your friendship right now.
Yeah.
And we're talking about these out of context, right? Like we don't have the full story.
Yeah.
We don't have the full context. So keep that in mind too.
Yeah.
Okay. You are asking me the next question?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
This one's a little deep. It says, have you ever had a friendship breakup? And if so, how long did it take you to heal or move on? Was it mutual or one-sided? And have you fully healed and moved on?
Oh. Have I ever had a friendship breakup? Yeah, I have. It was mutual. And it was not easy, and in the moment it felt like it was like life altering, which it was. And it sucked. I mean, it was not fun. It was not I'd say it took me a year or two to fully heal and move on from it.
Would you say that because it was mutual, it was easier or no?
No, I don't think it makes it any easier. I think that if it was a quality friendship and if it was a friendship you valued, it's not easy because of the constant that person was in your life. So,
no, they're not.
Yeah. But then they became a reason. So you move on. You move on with time, and you move on with kind of looking at the friends who are standing the test of time in your life.
Yeah.
What about you?
I believe that I have.
Yeah.
Mine was more one-sided. And the reason I asked you if it being mutual was easier is because I think that if it's, for in my case, the fact that it was one-sided made it easier.
Yeah.
It was coming from my end, and I knew that I couldn't be friends with this.
We can't be friends anymore.
Yeah, I knew that we can't be friends anymore. And the fact that I knew that and I put it out there and I told that person this made me just feel better about myself because I was putting myself first, knowing what I can have and what I deserve to have as a friend.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then, like, I think everyone has drifted apart from friends too, but I wouldn't necessarily call that a friendship breakup. I think friendship breakups is when you're literally like, we cannot be friends anymore.
Yeah.
For X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
They're not easy. And yeah, they do. I think it takes quite a bit of time, especially if that person was in your life and was your friend for a long time.
Yeah. It took me, I didn't answer the rest of the question.
Oh.
It took me, I don't really know how long to heal.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you can't really.
A few months.
Yeah.
Sorry. Does that sound a little harsh?
No, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. How do you break up with a friend that you no longer find to be a good friend to you? Raquel, since you've done it.
How do you break up with a friend that you no longer find to be a good friend to you? I think it takes time to realize that they're not a good friend to you. Mm-hmm. So that's the hard part, I think, is
the realization.
Or like
getting to that point.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh gosh, like you are not a good friend. And then I have to have this conversation with you now and tell you that. So you just got to tell them. Yeah. Because you know. Mm-hmm. You know deep down that they're not going to be beneficial. You know deep down it's going to be hard in the long run. You don't want to be hurt. You don't want to feel a certain way. You don't want things to be 10 times worse in the future. Mm-hmm. You know. You have to trust your gut and your heart to simply tell them. And then that's it. It's going to be awkward. You're not going to have conversation. You might have to block them. I don't know. You might have to do these measures because that's what's going to help you completely move on. Yeah. But hey, like if your life is going to be way better in the future because of this, then I think it's worth it.
Right. If they're not serving a purpose in your life, if they're not adding value to your life and instead taking away.
Mm-hmm. All right. This next question is, what do you do if you don't like your friend's significant other?
Oh, okay, this is a good one. Well, there's a difference. Okay? Do you not like them? Or do you have a genuine worry about your friend's well-being, their future, being with this person? Like, those are two different things. I think that if it's a you problem, you just don't like the person because maybe they said something mean to you back in like high school, or you don't, I don't know, you think that maybe they, I don't know, something petty, like you don't like their job or whatever, right? That's a different story. I think that is like, that's a you problem. That's not your friend problem, right? Don't butt into their relationship like that. But if you have a genuine concern for your friend and you think that maybe your friend is like blinded by love or whatever it may be, and they are overlooking serious red flags, I think as a friend, it is your responsibility to not tell them to end their relationship. No, that's not your business too. I think it's about expressing your concern in a way that's not belittling your friend's decision-making skills, because there's a fine line between expressing concern and then like talking down to your friend and saying like, oh, you messed up, right? It's a very fine line, and I think that's where people need to be careful. I think that's where respecting your friend comes into play. I think that's something that is missing in a lot of friendships that I see is respecting each other. And I think a genuine, just like, this is what I worry about. You do with it what you want to, because in the end, like, you know deep down what's right for you. But as your friend, this is what I'm concerned about for you. Okay? This is my fear for you. Do with it what you will. I think that's different. So yeah, I'm going to That's it. That's my answer.
That was a great answer.
Thank you.
Yeah. This has actually happened to me. I've had a very close friend of mine express her concerns about my relationship in the way beginning of it.
Yeah.
And she did it in the exact way that you mentioned. Like wholeheartedly with the purest intention, because I felt that on the receiving end, I knew she had no ill intent whatsoever. I felt like her genuine like love and support for me. And she like expressed her concerns and said, you know, do with it what you will, but I am just telling you this because I'm looking out for you and I'm your friend at the end of the day, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, just like it was all like love. And to this day, this person has remained one of my closest friends, and I have nothing but like love and respect for her. And I took what she said. I didn't do anything about it because I'm still in my relationship and very happily in my relationship to this day. But just knowing that I had someone looking out for me like that with just that genuinity just made all the difference.
Can I ask, is she supportive of your relationship?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Loves us.
Good.
Yeah.
There you go. See? It's about the way you do it, and it's about showing genuine concern for the friend that you love and not belittling them and their decisions, because that happens way too often, and I hate seeing.
And it's overlooked.
Happen. Yeah,
too. Like,
it is.
It's shrugged off. Like, no, it's okay.
No, yeah, like
no, it shouldn't be that way.
No, don't accept that, because your friend should not be putting you down for your decisions. Your friend should be lifting you up and showing just genuine concern when they are concerned.
Yes.
Am I asking now?
Yeah.
Moving on to the next question. Ooh, what makes a friendship toxic? How do you set boundaries? I have opinions on this, but I'm gonna let you start it off.
Okay. I think a toxic friendship is one where your friend is constantly like kind of bringing you down. You're not feeling good at all when you're talking to this person. Or they're maybe just reaching out to you only when things are needed. And they're not checking up on you. And it's like an unhealthy like balance. Like things are just not equal.
Right.
You know, like I know earlier I said that sometimes they're not always going to be. But I think when something's constantly like unequal.
In terms of quality of things. Yeah.
Constantly like that, then that's toxic.
Right. When I think of toxic friendships, and we all know these people who are like best friends with someone.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden they hate each other's guts. And it's like,
what just happened?
I thought
same.
I thought you guys were best friends just yesterday.
Yeah.
And now you hate each other?
Yeah.
And then a month later, they're best friends again. I'm really trying not to pass judgment, but I think that is a toxic friendship. Is when, how do you go from hating someone to being their best friend again? Okay. And the thing that like breaks my heart the most is, again, you're like best friends with someone, and then you can't stand them, and you're talking badly about them to other people. That's toxic.
Yeah,
that is so toxic.
It's not good.
So
it's a poor judgment of like your character as well. Like knowing that if I know that someone has said something about a friend and they're friends, I'm just like, what? Yeah. What is this?
Right.
How?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's toxic. What else is toxic? I think friends who lie to each other, hide things from each other intentionally.
Yeah.
I think that, again, friends who only are there for each other when they're down.
Yeah.
These things are toxic.
Yeah.
And then the second part of the question was, how do you set boundaries? I personally think that you shouldn't have to set boundaries. If you've got a good friendship, like you have mutual understanding of each other's time and efforts and schedules. There's mutual respect between the two of you. So I don't think
boundaries
are needed if it is a quality friendship. Now, if you're looking at a friendship where you feel like you have to constantly set boundaries and remind them, like, this is not okay, and this is not okay, and that is not okay, and I don't like that you do this, and I didn't appreciate this. If that's constant, that's got to be draining, and that's not okay. That's not healthy. I think having to set too many boundaries is maybe a sign of a toxic friendship.
I think you also know, like, who your acquaintances are, who your friends are that maybe you don't see as often, and who your best friends are. So maybe you do have to set certain boundaries with the friends that you don't see as often.
Maybe.
Because
or
they can be forgetful.
Close.
Yeah. You can set boundaries for yourself on, like, what you want to share with them.
Or like, I don't go out Sunday nights because I go to work early on Monday or something like that.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Like, it's rare Raquel will ever, like, tell me, hey, like, let's get dinner at 9 p.m. on Sunday night. She knows I'm,
in bed at 6:30 p.m.
No, but kind of.
or I know that she's having the Sunday scaries, as she says.
They're so real. They're so real. So, yeah, I mean, maybe she'll say, like, hey, let's go do something else during the day. Because I'm a 1 p.m. kind of gal.
Yeah.
I don't like the early morning. I don't like the late nights. I like 1, 2 p.m.
Yeah.
But some of those things they're just kind of mutually understood, and I don't know.
I think
time
even
plays a role too.
If you were to ask me, like, hey, like, let's do this, and I was to say no,
I'm like, yeah,
exactly.
I get it.
Queen just shrugged her shoulders. Like, for those of you who can't see, like, she doesn't care. Like, I know that she.
Like, I care, but I don't care.
Yeah, but no, but
like,
you
I don't
understand.
take it to heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it like on Sunday?
Literally.
I had to work. Like, literally, I was like, and I knew she was studying. Like, I didn't even have to ask her. I knew she was going to study, but I knew she also had a tiring day.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, do you want to come here study while I work on my lesson plans?
Yeah, and I would have loved to.
I knew she was like, okay, let me think about this. But sometimes a physical act of, like, after a long day, leaving your house again, even though she was coming over to my house, like, it was going to be exhausting for her. And she literally was like, I can't. And I was like, okay, do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And that's it. Right? Like, these things, like, I think time plays a role too, I will say. Time, and you need to be able to understand the other person.
Yeah, mutual understanding is so important. Yeah.
And not take things like that personally, because I know that
it's not personal.
If she didn't have the day that she had, and she was not exhausted,
I would have.
And yeah, she also lives like 2 minutes away from me, so
perks.
But she was exhausted, and it wasn't like early. It was after 6. So yeah. My bedtime.
Yeah.
It was just so considerate.
We're nearing the end.
The end.
Two more questions. This one says, rekindle a friendship or just let it go?
I think the question to ask yourself is, why did it end in the first place? Like, why do you need to be rekindling it?
Yeah.
Sometimes, again, like, if maybe it was just a season of friendship, and I don't think I've ever had a successful rekindling of a friendship, to be honest. Like, I always look back and I was like, there was a reason why it ended in the first place. I mean, I don't know. My harsh response is let it go.
Yeah.
But I think maybe you have a different perspective on it.
I think that if you care enough, and there's that mutual understanding, again, that we just talked about, you can try to rekindle. But I do also kind of agree with you. And I'd hate to be a downer, but think that there's a reason why it ended in the first place, and trying to rekindle the friendship,
I think that if
might not
you have like a friend that's not necessarily a close friend, maybe you've drifted apart with over time,
right?
And like maybe you
more
can rekindle that.
Needed, yeah.
Like sure, if it's just like an acquaintance or a friend, a good friend, not necessarily a close friend.
Yeah.
Maybe you used to be friends in high school, and throughout college you drifted apart, and then you are back kind of in the same lifestyle again, maybe you can rekindle that. Sure. But I think like if it was a deep friendship, and
something catastrophic happened,
yeah, let it go.
Yeah,
personally, that's what I think. Last question. Have you experienced friends overstepping their boundaries, and how do you deal with it?
I think I have.
Yeah.
Trying to think of a few examples. I'm pretty sure that I have, and I think honestly the best way to deal with it is just to tell them.
Yeah. Communicate.
Yeah.
Tell it as it is.
Yeah. I think even I've tried to vent to like others about it. Like, I don't know how to react to this person like doing this to me. And that might be helpful, like getting someone else's opinion, but ultimately like that's not going to make a difference.
Right.
It's my issue with that person that I have to
raise that awareness.
Yeah.
I agree. Talk it out. So,
all right.
That's it. I thought we said we weren't going to have a quote, but I just thought of a simple quote.
Did you?
That I really like.
Okay, go ahead.
And it is, choose people who choose you.
Aww.
Choose friends who choose you.
Yeah. Love that.
Quality over quantity, y'all. I think that is the most important thing. I don't know, like just communicate and choose people who choose you. Life's too short to surround yourself with low quality friends.
Amen.
As always, y'all, thank you for your continued support. Don't forget, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And I'm Queen.
I'm Raquel.
And this is
QR Coded.